I call the August the 10th, 2022 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting to order. Please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I will ask for the roll call.
Commissioner Jacks?
Here.
Commissioner Barlow? Commissioner Kelly? Commissioner Hassett?
Here.
Commissioner Meal?
Here.
Commissioner Martin? Here. Commissioner Abbott?
Here.
Commissioner Alexander?
Here.
Commissioner Morse?
Here.
Chairperson Gillette?
Here.
You have a quorum.
We will now have the automated announcement message.
Anyone who has not signed in, please do so at the table located in the lobby. Should anyone wish to speak, please complete a request to speak form, which is also located on the lobby table, next to the sign-in sheet. A request to speak form must be completed for each item you would like to speak on. Please note, there are stairs on the right, left, and center aisles, and we ask that you use caution when using the stairs. There is also a ramp located to the audience's left. If anyone has written comments, exhibits, petitions, photos, or letters they intend to present at today's meeting, have 17 copies and give them to a staff member at the back of the auditorium. Staff member, please hold up your hand for the audience. If you do not have 17 copies, you may use the overhead camera to present your documents. Please place your documents on the podium and line it up with the arrows indicated. If you want your documentation to go on record, you must hand them to the clerk after your presentation with the agenda item number clearly marked on the documentation. Members of the public cannot speak to staff members that are seated at the tables with microphones during the meeting. If you have questions, please see the staff member located in the back of the auditorium. All speakers will be limited to 2 minutes to make their presentation statements. Everyone, please turn off all cell phones or place them on vibrate during the meeting. If you must take a call, please leave the meeting area and go outside to have your conversation. We also ask the audience to refrain from talking with one another during the presentations and discussions. Today, the Planning and Zoning Commission will hear public testimony and then forward a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors. Everyone attending the meeting is asked to remember that the administrative building and campus are tobacco-free areas, which means no smoking is allowed from curb to curb. No food or drinks are allowed in the auditorium except for bottled water. If there are any items remaining on the agenda, the Commission will break for lunch for 1 hour per the Chairman's discretion.
Today, the Planning and Zoning Commission will hear public testimony and then forward a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors. The items with a recommendation made by the Commission will be heard by the Board of Supervisors on Tuesday, September the 6th, 2022 at 9:30 a.m. in this same location, with the exception of any continued items. Are there any questions on the minutes from the July 13th meeting? Hearing none, I will call for a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll second it.
I have Commissioner Abbott making the motion and Commissioner Jacks seconding. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. So moved, and it is adopted. Item number 1, Matthew Gunderson.
Item number 1 is an evaluation of a request for an amendment to the Mojave County General Plan from a general commercial land use designation to a suburban development area land use designation, and an amendment to the Virgin River Communities Area Plan from a commercial land use designation to a suburban residential land use designation, and a rezone from an RE10A residential recreation 10-acre minimum lot size zone to an RE4A residential recreation 4-acre minimum lot size zone, and an RE1A residential recreation 1-acre minimum lot size zone for assessor's parcel number 402-15032 to allow for a minor land division in the scenic vicinity. Staff recommends approval with standard conditions.
I will now open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Does the applicant wish to speak? Of course.
Is this the one over by Meadview?
This is item number 1.
Is it the property by,
Scenic. No, it's in Scenic.
okay, never mind.
I'm going to close the public hearing. Does any commissioner have any questions or comments? Hearing none, the chair will now call for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve per staff recommendations.
I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Jacks and a second by Commissioner Morse. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Item number 2. Alexander Boland.
Item 2 is an evaluation of a request for a rezone for assessor's parcel number 402-13006 from an RE10A residential recreation 10-acre minimum lot size zone to an RE1A residential recreation 1-acre minimum lot size zone to allow for a minor land division in the scenic vicinity. Staff has received 1 letter of opposition. Staff recommends approval with standard conditions.
Thank you. I'll open the public hearing. Does anybody want to speak on this item? Is the applicant here? And do you wish to speak? Going to close the public hearing. Does the commissioners have any questions? Hearing none, I'm open to a motion.
Motion to approve per staff recommendation.
Second.
I have a motion to approve by Commissioner Martin, seconded by Commissioner Hassett. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Item number 3, Alexander Boland.
Item 3 is an evaluation of a request for a special use permit for assessor's parcel number 229-14139A to allow for a billboard in a C2H highway commercial zone in the Fort Mojave vicinity. Section 42 of the Mojave County zoning ordinance states that a minimum of 500 feet between billboards facing the same traffic flow on the same street or freeway shall be required in all cases. There is another existing billboard to the northwest that is less than 500 feet and has a sign face for both north and south traffic flow. Staff has received 7 letters of support, but because the site cannot meet the minimum spacing requirements for billboards, staff recommends denial.
I will now open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Please come to the podium and give your name and your address.
Good morning, my name is Brad Sourbeer. I own Parker Outdoor. I'm the applicant. So, I'd like to present this. There wasn't a PowerPoint, so evidently if I put these on the podium, they can screenshot it. Oh, okay, great. Thank you.
It's upside down.
Still upside down.
It depends on who's looking at it.
This PowerPoint is also part of your staff report that you have in your packet.
So I am here today to get approval for our proposed billboard in Fort Mojave on Highway 95. The staff has recommended denial based on only one item, which is spacing for a billboard that's across the highway. If you look at the code requirements, we meet all of them except that one particular item. We meet the zoning requirement of C2H. We're 100 foot from a residential zoning district. Our size requirement is met. We're proposing a 240 square foot sign. The height of 35 feet is within the allowed height. In the neighborhood, the code allows for up to 40 feet for an on-premise sign and a larger sign for on-premise sign, in fact. In fact, there's no setback from the right-of-way for on-premise signs, and there's no setback from other on-premise signs. The billboards have a 50-foot setback from on-premise or pole signs, as you would call them, which we also meet that criteria. The space in between billboards on the same side of the highway, which is what most jurisdictions use, is well beyond the 500 feet required. In fact, the billboard we're proposing is the only billboard on that side of the highway for at least 1,000 feet to the south, and I think close to a half mile to the north. If you look at this map, you can see the billboard in question is across the highway. I have a picture here I'll show you in a moment. However, we're not asking for something unusual, since a lot of jurisdictions allow spacing of 500 feet from the same side of the highway, not in the direction of travel. If you look at this, since there's very few billboards in this market area, then our proposal should make sense. We're proposing to build a digital billboard, which allows for us to have up to 12 advertisers. We currently operate one in Golden Valley. It's been very successful for the local businesses that we promote. And it also helps us not go out and build 6 additional or 5 additional billboards to accommodate 12 clients, which is what the purpose is here. This is near a traffic light. The traffic's is generally going slower, so it offers good visibility. And it's a prime location for the local businesses in this market area. I'd like to also further state that the planning department in a special use permit does allow for variations in your code, and that's why we're here today. That's why you're approving all these rezones from 10 acres to 4 acres, things like that. In the billboard code, there's really no way to ask for a variance, so I have to do it through the special use process. So you're of the ability to make exceptions, is my understanding, and I ask today that you make an exception, that we're not creating an unusual burden on the area with signage. And then if you also look at this map, you can see a series of pole signs along all those businesses on 95. So if I were to try to locate this billboard further north, I'd be unable to because of all the existing pole signs for local businesses. So with that said, I appreciate your time, and hopefully you will approve my application.
Are there any questions from the commissioners?
Yes, I would like for staff to kind of maybe reiterate section 42 of the ordinance and what it says in regards to this.
Madam Chair Gillette and Commissioner Alexander. Section 42 of our zoning ordinance states that 500-foot distance between billboards facing the same traffic flow on the same road is required in all cases.
Thank you.
I have a question. The billboard that's being requested, what's the distance on it?
Chairman Gillette, Commissioner Abbott, the distance from the current sign, is that the question you're asking?
Yes.
Let me see if I can pull that up for you.
I'm
My
asking
understanding
a
it's about
question.
250 feet.
Pardon?
250.
If I understand it right, the requirements are 500 and this one is 250? Is that what you're saying?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Abbott, that sounds about right. Matt's looking at it to verify. To further clarify, as far as deviating from our zoning ordinance and the requirements that we have, our zoning ordinance does require the 500-foot separation. The special use permit is not a mechanism to deviate from that. The variance application is a mechanism to request a variance in that setback from other other billboards in the vicinity within 500 feet. If the applicant would like to reduce that 500-foot setback, the way to do that would be to apply to the Board of Adjustments through that variance application.
Thank you.
Chairwoman Gillette, Commissioner Abbott, looks like the measurements that I'm doing, the furthest they could place the sign from the existing sign on the subject property would be about 360 feet. Where they're proposing it on the north side of the property is about 300 feet.
Thank you.
Well, it seems to me that, that you need to be applying to the Board of Adjustments.
I was unaware of that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much, sir. I'd like to have a motion on this item.
I'll make a motion that we deny according to staff recommendations.
A second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion.
Pardon me, Chairman Gillette, I just, as a point of order, I don't think the public hearing has been closed yet.
Oh, I am sorry. I will close the public hearing.
Thank you.
And now I will take the motion.
I make the motion to deny the item according to staff recommendation.
And I had a second by Commissioner. I have a motion to deny by Commissioner Alexander and a second by Commissioner Martin. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Item number 4A, Alexander Boland.
Item 4A is an evaluation of a request for a rescission of BOS Resolution 2016-015, causing the property to revert from an R2 medium-density residential zone back to an RE residential recreation zone, having not met the conditions of approval in the Mojave Valley vicinity. Staff recommends approval. Staff recommends that BOS Resolution 2016-015 be rescinded.
I'm going to open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Is the applicant present, and do you wish to speak? I'm going to close the public hearing. Any commissioners have any questions? Hearing none, I'll call for a motion.
I move that we approve per staff recommendations.
Second that.
I have a motion by Commissioner Morse, seconded by Commissioner Jacks. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Item 4B. Staff Member Bolin.
Item 4B is an evaluation of a request for a rezone from an RE residential recreation zone to a CRE commercial recreation zone for assessor's parcel number 216-06153 to allow for pickleball court sales in the Mojave Valley vicinity. Staff recommends approval with standard conditions.
Thank you. I'll open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this subject? Is the applicant present, and do you wish to speak? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any commissioners have any questions?
Madam Chair, I did have a question. The application said the property was vacant, yet the photographs, the aerials, show what looks to be a residential structure on it.
Chairman Gillette, Commissioner Morse, that's correct. I think the applicant intended to say that the property isn't currently being used for anything. The house is vacant. That's what they mean. But there is a residential structure on the property currently.
Any other questions?
Yes. When they say sales, what do they mean? Like they're going to sell pickleball courts? Or membership? I mean, what? And it looks like they've already started construction, right?
Yeah, so Chairman Gillette, Commissioner Hassett, yes. So what they do is they sell the courts themselves. So the idea is that at this facility, they would allow people to come and test out the courts and play pickleball there at the site. And then if people wanted to, they could purchase a court and then have the court.
Oh, so it's like a showroom.
Court. Yeah, almost like a showroom type of thing. And it would allow people to go on site to play pickleball there as well.
I've just never heard of that, so I just wanted to ask.
Any other questions? Now call for a motion.
Make a motion to approve per staff recommendations.
A second.
Second.
Second that.
Whoever.
I have a motion by Commissioner Jack, seconded by Commissioner Morse. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
One opposed. Item number 5. Gunderson.
Item number 5 is an evaluation of a request for a special use permit for assessor's parcel number 306-47004A to allow for a kennel for up to 16 dogs in an AR-10A agricultural residential 10-acre minimum lot size zone in the Golden Valley vicinity. Staff recommends approval with standard conditions. And I did want to point out that, so condition number 2, typically for these types of special use permits, there is a expiration on it. So the special use permit would expire in 2 years unless the applicant were to apply again for an extension of time.
Thank you. I'll open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Is the applicant here and wish to speak? Give your name and your address.
My name is Julie Williams Nunez, 3868 North Aztec Road, Golden Valley, Arizona. Good morning. My special permit, we do have our kennel license currently for 10. What we do is we do hospice. We do not have the animals, the dogs, on site, maybe 4, 3, depending on their situation from the shelter. We will do that to the end of their life. So it says 16, I put at 13, thinking because we never have the same amount at the same time due to them passing within 2 or 3 weeks, maybe a month. They have heart disease problems, you name it, cancer. So we do work with the Mojave County low cost. They do all our cremations and everything for us. So they're just little dogs, little hospice.
So you care for these dogs until they pass away?
Yes. But they come to us already very sick. So we just, so they don't have to stay in the shelter with no love and care until their last days. They get a home with love and caring and meds, whatever they need.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I'm going to ask if there's anybody else who needs to talk on this. Any questions of the applicant?
I just have.
Commissioner Martin?
Without a special use permit, how many dogs are you allowed?
10. But we never have them at the same time. You know, I'm doing the special use permit just to cover, you know, just in case. Because they could pass within, say we get them from the shelter and they can pass within 3 days. Some can pass within 4 months, but we never have the full load even of 10. You know what I mean? Because of the passings. So we're just doing this to make everything legal.
Just in case you get over 10.
Yeah, just in case this low cost or anybody ever, you know, contacts us and we have a little more. But usually we have maybe 7, you know, and then it just depends on their, but usually they come to us in pretty bad shape. So their life expectancies could be a week to 4 months to 5 months, you know, so.
Thank you. Any other questions from the commission? I'll close the public hearing. And I'll call for a motion.
I'll make a motion we approve with staff recommendations.
Second the motion.
I have a motion by Commissioner Morton and a second by Commissioner Abbott. All in favor say aye.
I think that was Alexander, right?
Oh, Alexander, I'm sorry. And a second by Commissioner Abbott. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Item 6, Matthew Gunderson.
Item number 6 is an evaluation of a request for a rezone from an AR10A agricultural residential 10-acre minimum lot size zone to an AR2A agricultural residential 2-acre minimum lot size zone for assessor's parcel number 306-24081B to allow for a minor land division in the Golden Valley vicinity. Staff recommends approval with standard conditions.
I'll open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Is the applicant present, and do you wish to speak? Any questions? I will close the public hearing. Any questions from the commissioners? Hearing none, I call for a motion.
Motion to approve per staff recommendation.
Second the motion.
I have a motion by Commissioner Martin, seconded by Commissioner Abbott. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Item number 7, Gunderson.
Item number 7 is an evaluation of a request for an amendment to BOS Resolution number 2022-048 to modify the exhibit with updated dimensions for the new zoning designations. So this item was originally rezoned earlier this year, back in April. And one of the conditions of approval was that a parcel plat needs to be submitted to split the property. When the parcel plat was submitted for review, the dimensions for the lots for the different zoning designations did not match the exhibit that was approved with the rezone. So after doing the survey, those dimensions needed to change. So the updated exhibit shows the 286 feet along the east and west property lines instead of the 330 feet for the dimensions for the AR4A zone. Staff recommends approval of the proposed amendment.
Thank you. I'll open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Is the applicant present? And do you wish to speak at this time? I will close the public hearing. Do any commissioners have any questions? Chair will now call for a motion.
Make a motion to approve per staff recommendation.
I'll second that.
Second the motion.
I have a motion by Commissioner Jacks, seconded by Commissioner Morris. All those in favor say aye.
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 I think that was Abbott.
Any opposed? So moved. Item number 8. And we do have some people who wish to speak on this item. Matthew Gunderson.
Item number 8 is an evaluation of a request for a rezone from a C2H 1A highway commercial 1 acre minimum lot size, C2H 3A highway commercial 3 acre minimum lot size zone, C2H 4A highway commercial 4 acre minimum lot size zone, and RMH 40M residential manufactured homes 40,000 square foot minimum lot size zone to a CMO commercial manufacturing and open lot storage zone for assessors parcel numbers 208-40-032 through 036 and 208-40-095 through 109 to allow for a travel center in the Yucca vicinity. Staff recommends approval with standard conditions.
Thank you. I'll open the public hearing. Is anyone wishing to speak on this item? I do have 2 people who have filled out the paperwork. John Raymer, would you like to come up to the podium? Give us your name and your address.
So I'm John Reimer. I'm here with Pilot Travel Centers as part of the applicant. Address 5508 Lonis Drive, Knoxville, Tennessee 37916. And so basically primarily here to answer any questions on from you regarding the request to rezone. As you can see in the site plan, we've got diesel fueling positions along with auto. We do have above ground storage tanks along with a Southern Tire Mart where trucks would have the ability to have minor truck services while they are on our site as well. Our travel center would have a hot food concept as well that is Pilot specific. And then the last thing I'd like to add is just based off of the layout of the property itself, we'll have really good circulation and avoid backing up onto those public roads.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I have another person who wishes to speak on this. Cynthia Laurig, is that correct?
Cynthia Lang, and it is for item number 9.
This says item number 8.
Right, they told me number 8 was on.
But this is actually for item number 9. This is actually for item number 9?
Yes. She's addressing item 9.
A rezone for parcel 213-1001.
Yes, that's item number 9. Okay. I believe that you were the applicant, sir? Yes. Yeah, okay. Are there any other people who want to speak on this? Hearing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. Are there any questions from the commissioners?
I have a question for staff. Is there adequate ingress and egress from the highway to this parcel?
Jerome Gillette, Commissioner Martin. So it is very close to an exit off of Interstate 40, just to the north of the site. The way that their proposed layout, they will have to abandon an existing road that kind of goes through that current subdivision. So the site is rather large and would include that abandonment. But yeah, it is very close to the interstate and an existing exit.
Okay, my concern are the properties in that area. That Camelback Road is a pretty tight road going into that subdivision there. So I'm wondering how that will affect that subdivision.
As for the traffic flow for the site and that results from the site being built, those would be addressed at the site plan review stage with comments from our Public Works Department.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak on this subject? Hearing none, I'm going to close the public
I
hearing.
just have a comment. I know there was a small little shop there because I know about who was there. And they were, I think, repairing some truck tires and things like that at one time. So the trucks had to get into it before.
Chairman Gillette, Commissioner Abbott, I don't know the size of the vehicles that were getting into it before, but there is an existing tire shop there, that is correct.
And if approved, I understand you'll have to get the requirements that they need for that during that process.
Correct.
I'm going to close the public hearing and ask for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve for staff recommendation.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. I have a motion by Commissioner Abbott, seconded by Commissioner Martin.
Alexander.
Commissioner Alexander, I am sorry. And all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
One opposed. Item number 9.
Item 9 is an evaluation of a request for a rezone from an AR 36A agricultural residential 36-acre minimum lot size zone to a CRE 25A commercial recreation 25-acre minimum lot size zone for assessor's parcel number 213100001 to allow for an outdoor restaurant and RV park in the Oatman vicinity. Staff has received 1 letter of opposition and 3 letters of support. Staff recommends approval with standard conditions.
Thank you. I'll open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this? Ms. Lang?
Good morning.
Please give your name and your address.
Cynthia Lang, Silver Creek Ranch, Oatman, Arizona. I have 2 prepared statements, one that I penned and one from my husband who's out of town working currently. And these are letters of support to approve this zoning change. So I'll just read these to you as I've written. My name is Cynthia Lang, and I have been a resident of rural Oatman since 1986. During these nearly 40 years, I've hiked the area extensively and have personally witnessed bighorn sheep rutting at the exact spot where the current mine is operating, formerly the Moss Mine. Of course, the bighorns are nowhere near that site now, and sadly, I rarely see them. In my decades as a resident, mining has never been a major draw to the area. Most people come to this part of the desert to enjoy what nature has to offer: peace and solitude, with an opportunity to observe animals in their natural habitat, and to get away from people, light pollution, and noise. I believe that the majority of people who would seek out a bar, restaurant, RV park in this area would appreciate nature undisturbed and would be an asset rather than a deterrent to this well-established way of life. Therefore, I wholeheartedly support the zoning change request for parcel 213-10-001 submitted by my nearby neighbor, Mr. Davis, and I wish him and his family all the best. My husband also wrote his support for this in the following. My name is Jim Lang, and I am expressing my support in favor of the proposed zoning changes on parcel 213-10-001. I have lived in the immediate area since 1986, owning parcel 213-11-001, approximately 1 mile from the Davis property. I support the zoning change for the following reasons. Number 1, the proposed business will have little effect on surrounding property owners. Number 2, geographically, the site is well situated to exploit the already existing recreational traffic on Silver Creek Road. Number 3, There is a demand for a restaurant on Silver Creek Road, as there are no restaurants presently located on Silver Creek Road between Oatman and Bullhead City. Number 4, the Davises have the expertise and resources to develop a successful project. I would like to offer a rebuttal to the objection filed by Golden Vertex Corporation. While the previous owners of the subject property were hobby miners and built a small mill and lab on the property, no on-site mineral extraction activities were conducted. All materials being processed were imported. The property has had its AR zoning for at least half a century and has been continuously occupied as a residence since 1981. To imply that this property was traditionally used for mining is inaccurate. I would also point out that the Davises do own the property and deserve to be able to put it to its highest and best use. I can understand why Golden Vertex Corporation may object. However, the likelihood of them ever mining the adjacent claims would be slim to none. Please approve the proposed zoning change. Respectfully, Jim Lang. Thank you for your time.
Any questions of this person? Hearing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other persons wanting to speak on this item? Please come forward and give us your name and your address.
My name is Joe Bardswich. I live at 6285 South Lago Grande in Fort Mojave, and I'm the president of Golden Vertex Corp. I filed an objection to this. We've been active in that area. We spent in the immediate area within 1,000 feet of that property boundary. We spent more than $1 million on drilling. My concern is that should we develop an ore body that's economic to bring to production, that the permitting requirements would be objected to by persons that are in this trailer park. We had a similar experience when we tried to permit the Moss Mine, where people in the trailer park all the way back at the corner of Bullhead Parkway and Silver Creek Road. There were 16 of them that I have copies of their public submissions, etc. The United States used to be the #1 mineral producer in the world and also the #1 economy in the world. We've slipped out of that position. The United States right now is the most difficult place in the world to get a permit. Allowing a trailer park adjacent to potential ore deposit would just increase the chances of the permitting being denied. And I think with the amount of investment, et cetera, that was into these operations, it should be taken into consideration.
I just have one question. So, who do you represent?
Golden Vertex Corporation.
And that is, you live in the trailer park that is currently there?
No, but the Moss Mine is about 1.5 miles from this property. The adjacent property on the northern boundary is state mineral lease, the state mineral estate that we have under lease. We've had it under lease for several years. We spent a lot of money exploring and drilling that. On both the east and the west side of this property, we have mining claims that we've held for more than 10 years. We pay $300,000 a year to the BLM for our mining claims. We spent extensive funds on drilling those claims, and we've had successful results, not to the stage where we're proposing a mine at this stage. We're doing existing drilling presently, and by changing the zoning on it and encouraging residents recreational vehicle trailer park, all that we're going to do is increase the chance of a permit being denied, because people in the trailer park are going to say, we moved here expecting peace and quiet, and now we got a mine on our property. In fact, there's in the permitting exploration stage, the drill roads and the drill sites were all laid out, and that's in that drawing, I think it's drawing number 17E from the BLM, and
So your mine is adjacent to this property?
the active mine is about a mile and a half north of this property. The mining claims and the state lease are adjacent to this property. And we are doing active exploration on those adjacent properties.
May I?
Yes.
So your concern is that should one of your drills produce viable ore to mine closer to that RV park, you're worried that you won't be granted the permit to perform the mining close to that area?
That's correct, sir.
So, and I don't know if the applicant can speak on this, but this is not this is an RV park for tourism, correct? Not to permanently live. So the property owner would be the only one who could potentially go against you not getting that permit, not the 20 or 25 people who are visiting the RV park for Labor Day weekend. Isn't that correct? Is the applicant here that I can ask that question to?
You're correct.
Okay, so no permanent living, just visiting, right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Any other questions?
I have a question. When will you have to get your permit renewed? How much more time do you have on the existing permit?
We've drilled approximately 17 holes on that adjacent property. We would have to do at least that much more drilling. The drill
I'm just talking about getting permits to continue your mining operation.
To continue the mining, we'd have to define the ore body, we'd have to submit the mining plans, et cetera, and go through the procedure with the BLM. During that procedure, they call for public hearings, and you don't have to be a resident to be an objector, and basically, you can say, I always go up there on the weekend or whatever and stay at that trailer park. I mean, that's going to give them standing when they object to the permit.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing, the applicant?
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the Commission. Lynn Robinson, representing the applicant. My address is 1355 Raymar Road, Suite 7 in Bullhead City. This has been a really nice project to work on. The people are really nice to work for, and the site lends itself well. It's accessed by Silver Creek Road, a couple of miles from Oatman, which is the Old West atmosphere. The traffic lends itself to an outdoor restaurant. Now, this is not an indoor, this is an outdoor restaurant. It's a barbecue, has outdoor seating. And they are going through the Mojave County health requirements for that outdoor restaurant. The RV park is going to happen over time. I talked with your staff yesterday. They've been just wonderful to work with, Peggy and Matthew and Alex, and they've helped me understand what the requirements are for the RV park. And it's not going to be a massive commercial RV park. If you noted the topography, it's up in the mountains. It is not flat. So it's not going to be a large commercial. It's going to be a small, intimate RV park. They will provide utilities through solar, through water, and through an approved septic system. So with that, again, it's really a nice project. It'll fit the area very well, and I'm ready to answer any questions you may have.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So you are aware of the mines that are currently there?
Oh, yes, ma'am. This sits on a patented mining claim. This property is a patented mining claim, and there are more than 70 patented mining claims that surround this property.
So there's not going to be a problem as far as you're concerned?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. Any other questions of this applicant?
I have a question along the similar lines. I would assume, not speaking on behalf of the property owner, that common sense would dictate they know the area that they're working in, they know the area they're building in, and they wouldn't go up against one of our community's large businesses, right? So like hypothetically speaking, years from now an ore deposit is viable for mining and there's a problem, I would assume that they would maybe encourage that permit to be approved.
Agreed. And, you know, commonly we lay low because we want our neighbors to lay low, and everybody sort of helps each other. And that's, we respect our neighbors, we respect their opinion, but we're businessmen, and we see the opportunity, and we are very thankful for your staff's support.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you, sir. Anyone else wanting to speak on this item? Hearing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. Any commissioners have any questions at this time? I will now call for a motion.
I make a motion to approve per staff recommendations.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion by Commissioner Hassett, seconded by Commissioner Alexander. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Item number 10, Alexander Bolin.
Item 10 is an evaluation of a request for a rezone from a C2 General Commercial Zone to a C2H Highway Commercial Zone for Assessor's Parcel Number 316-08009A to allow storage container sales in the Dolan Springs vicinity. Staff recommends approval with standard conditions.
Thank you. I'll now open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Is the applicant present? And do you wish to speak? I'm going to close the public hearing. Does any commissioner have any questions on this item? Hearing none, the chair will call for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve item 10 per staff recommendation.
I'll second it.
I have a motion by Commissioner Abbott, seconded by Commissioner Jacks. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Item number 12, Matthew Gunderson.
11.
I don't have 11. Do I? I have a 10 and a 12. No 11. Okay. Pardon me. Item number 11. Whoever's in charge of that. Sorry, I don't have it.
Item number 11 is an evaluation of a request for a rezone from an AR 36A agricultural residential 36-acre minimum lot size zone to a CRE 36A commercial recreation 36-acre minimum lot size zone for assessor's parcel number 343-29001 to allow for cabin rentals in the Meadview vicinity. Staff has received one letter of opposition for this item. Staff recommends approval with standard conditions.
Thank you. I'll open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this item, please come to the podium and give your name and your address.
Good morning. My name is Eileen Flannery. I'm at 80 East Sumner in Meadview, and I'm not for this. This would impact our little area greatly. One of the historic things when people come up to Meadview during the summer, the part-timers, we have an impact on our washes. They bring side-by-sides, they ride in the washes, they go on trails that aren't there and everything, and that's a big concern for something of this nature. It's going to impact our power. We don't have enough power to have a whole bunch of people coming up here. We've been impacted just with what we have up there already. We're just a small little community. We have 2 hotels. It would impact them. And I don't think there's been enough study on this. All the traffic and whatnot, we already have the traffic that goes to the Skywalk. This would actually bring more traffic to us. There's a lot of reasons that I think we do have a community association up there. It's never been presented to us. I think people should on something like this, maybe come to our town and tell us exactly what's going on. We don't really know all the little ins and outs of what the plans are for this, and I think it's just too soon to implement something like this.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions?
Any questions of this person? Thank you, ma'am. I have another person who, Dennis, you wish to speak on this?
How you do? I oppose the rezoning on several reasons. One, we have 2 struggling motels up there now, and people are adding Airbnbs every day, and so that could put the motels out of business, and nothing says anything worse than a community than closed businesses. 2, we're out in the middle of nowhere, so the county doesn't really maintain all the roads. We constantly have potholes, which endangers. I have a good friend that's laying in the hospital right now because the county didn't get out and maintain the roads the other day. And a week ago Tuesday, he crashed his motorcycle because they didn't cover up the washers where the rain went through.
Thank you. Your time is up. Is the applicant present? Would you like to come down and, thank you, sir. Thank you. You may sit down. Yep.
Why did she get more time than I did?
She didn't.
No, the time, I apologize, the time was left over from her, so, no, he didn't. So if you'd like,
Okay, come back and we'll
Sorry
give you
about
another
that.
shot. When the little red light goes off, your time is up.
All right, so the other thing is, that's the only large parcel out there that is zoned agricultural. If somebody wants to make some money, then they should grow some produce, because we're a 110-mile round trip, and with the gas prices, people don't have the money to go to town anymore. If they were to grow on that 39 or almost 39 acres, if they were to grow tomatoes and vegetables and stuff for the community, that would be much more useful. And the other thing is, I don't know if anybody's checked, but that looks like to me that it's in the 100-year floodplain, so I don't know that you could even build in that. If you see the pictures that they flashed up there, you can see all the washers that go into that. And it flooded just 100 yards from there the other day, and it wasn't a huge rain, but it flooded enough. When we have a huge rain, that water can go up as high as 6 feet on the wall there and take out that whole area. And that happened about 5 years ago. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Sir, I'm not saying yea or nay on how I'm going to recommend this myself, but I remember when gas and grub went in out there. Everybody thought, that's just way out there. There's no need for that. That'll never work. It's been very successful business. So allowing these cabin rentals might be something worthwhile.
So you're in favor of putting the motels out of business?
I'm just making a statement.
And I have a question.
Miss Commissioner Alexander?
Yes, both persons who are opposing mentioned the 2 motels that are currently there, and you're afraid that it would affect their business, and yet you say that every day there's more Airbnbs, cropping up out there, and so that confuses me. Why would people be doing more Airbnbs if the motels are already there, if there wasn't a need for it? Do the motels stay busy? Do they not stay busy?
We have hundreds of lots for sale up there that they could build on, literally hundreds, if not thousands. So
My question is in regards to the current business that's there and the effect on that. Go ahead.
Well, we really don't have any control over the Airbnbs, but we are now doing work within our association to limit them also, because our structure just will not carry all these extra power and water and that type of thing. You got water too, you got to think about water also. I mean, this is just a small area, and it's really not built to carry all these extra peoples. And like I said, we are trying to, through our association, start to limit some of those Airbnbs. Because it is having an impact on us, and it's a negative impact.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, ma'am and sir. The applicant?
Good morning, Honorable Chairman, Commissioners. My name is Kathy Tackett Hicks. I'm acting as the owner's agent. I thought this was a really great use for this. The gentleman is correct that the area does have a wash through it. It's got some hilly areas, so it's not going to be set up for anything that has high density. You can see that map. The big wash goes through the middle here and then on this side, and you can't see the map because I got it upside down. Right? So the corner's right here. I'm not sure where they live in relationship to this as summer. On the map. I don't see that on the map. But regardless, there's a wash here and a wash here. You can see the hilly areas. It's not going to have high density at all. The uses are very minimal. In the letter that we did just receive yesterday, that talked about noise, lights, and vehicle traffic. And if you look at my site plan, it shows 6 little buildings and 1 for the caretaker. It really is the most minimal of uses. There's not going to be a draw on any of the resources. Sandy Point is paved. And the lot itself, 37 acres, it's suited, the topography is suited for something like this, a really light use. In addition, they talked about the hotels. I'm familiar with the Meadview area, and yeah, they are struggling, particularly with the low river. I mean, that is where they go, but since I've been here 30 years, Meadview has struggled for certain areas. I do think that this type of a use, there's just 6 units, would help provide a product diversity for, you know, what they have their stock out there. So they do have a couple of hotels. This is just 6 little units for people that don't want to be in a hotel and don't want to be in Airbnb. I think Airbnb probably has a much greater impact than 6 cabins would have for the hotel industry. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
I have a question.
Yeah. Commissioner Abbott?
What, would you address what the water situation is going to be for these cabins?
Yeah, so I think I said water hall. I'll have to look at my application. Is that what I put on? Yeah. I mean, it's very minimal. So, and water hall uses the least amount of water, you know, from anyone. The gentleman did not indicate if he was going to drill a well, although he and I did speak about that. But certainly the fallback is water hall. He may be able to drill a well. Got a lot of water running there. He probably have some success.
Well, I know that area very well out there, and there's washes everywhere.
Yeah.
And people just build above the washes. They don't build in the washes. So,
Right.
a lot of homes out there, some very nice homes out there, but I've always been a concern, and I talked to people who are there. Water hall is okay, but that water's always a concern.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's a low-density use. You're not going to get any less than this. Currently, right now, the owner would be allowed to build 2 homes on this 37 acres. You know, the main home and then a second home because it's greater than 5 acres. This right here allows for 6 cabins and a caretaker's. So 1 full-time person and 6, you know, whenever he can fill them. I think it's the least
Do we have any questions?
impactful.
I have one question.
Commissioner Jacks?
Just out of curiosity, the cabins that are being built, are they like one-family type units,
They're like
small?
6 by 10. I mean,
Are they
that's
really?
what he told me.
6 by
I don't
10?
even, yeah. I guess you can lay in it, and that's about it. I mean, they're so minimal, the footprint. I mean, they really, I don't even know what to say about that. That's what my application states. That's what he told me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
I now will call for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve for staff recommendation.
I'll second it.
I have a motion by Commissioner Abbott, a second by Commissioner Jacks. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Now we have item 12. Matthew Gunderson.
Item number 12 is an evaluation of a request for an amendment to the Mojave County General Plan from a medium-density residential land use designation to a general commercial land use designation, an amendment to the Wallapai Ranch Area Plan from a multifamily residential land use designation to a commercial land use designation, and a rezone from an SDC2 Special Development General Commercial Zone to a C2 General Commercial Zone for Assessor's Parcel Number 313-44828 to allow for a storage facility in the Valley Vista vicinity. So this item was originally zoned to this SDC2 zone back in 1972. One of the conditions from that resolution puts a 100-foot front yard setback on the property. The applicants are looking to rezone it to just C2 to have the standard general commercial setbacks to get rid of that 100-foot front yard setback on the property. Staff recommends approval with standard conditions.
Thank you. I'm open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Is the applicant present, and do you wish to speak? Do you wish to? Do we have any questions of the applicant? Then I will close the public hearing. Do the commissioners have anything to say at this time? Hearing none, the chair will now ask for a motion.
Make a motion to approve per staff recommendations.
I'll second that.
I have a motion by Commissioner Jacks, seconded by Commissioner Morse. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Item number 13 is an amendment to the Mojave County Ordinance. And it's the Chief Building Official, Gilbert Sameby.
Good morning, Chairman Gillette and Commissioners. I'm Gilbert Sameby. I'm the Chief Building Official. Before us today, we have approximately 8 amendments that we're proposing for the Mojave County Building Ordinance. Just a little background. We always get the comment, why are we bringing building ordinances or amendments to the Planning and Zoning Commission? Just for your reference is, under the Arizona statutes, the counties are established with zoning ordinances, and the building department and building regulations fall under those ordinances. So you get a chance to approve or make comments and recommendations on any proposed building ordinance, and your comments and the Building Code Advisory Board comments will be submitted to the Board of Supervisors for approval or denial. With that said, I'll go into just a little bit more. In 2021, June, approximately a year ago, we brought before you and before the Board of Supervisors, and the Board of Supervisors adopted the 2018 International Building Codes. We went from the 2012 codes to the 2018 codes. With those, we did have local amendments that were based on our climatic conditions and just regional requirements. The code allows us that latitude to make changes to the code to allow, conditions of our area and stuff, and that's what we're proposing today. I have approximately 8 amendments to the code that I'll be presenting to you. In your packet, there is a memo from the Building Code Advisory Board on the proposed amendments, and that was dated June 10th, 2022. On that date, we met with the board, and they actually approved all 8 amendments unanimously. Also in your packet are draft minutes from that meeting, dated June 29th, 2022. Included also in your packet is a complete building ordinance with markouts of our draft proposed amendments. And also in your packet is a memo to the Planning and Zoning Commission from us specifically addressing these amendments we're going to address today. So with that, I'd like to just have you look at, you can either look at the complete draft ordinance or actually just the memo that's presented to you. With that, I can just start off of, the memo is dated July 26, 2022 to you. So if the first one, if you look down in section 11 of the Mojave County Building Ordinance allows for amendments and deletions to technical codes. That's the section we're going to be in or amending. The first section is A. It's part of the International Building Code. It's Building Code Section 105.2, and it's work exempt from permits. Basically, this exempts, or I'll just read it, building fences applies to standard fencing materials, block walls up to 7 feet in height, measured from the bottom of the footer to the top of the wall. Manufactured home block skirting is not considered fencing. If you'll see in your strikeout, we basically, when we adopted the 18 codes last year, we felt it was appropriate that how to measure a block wall and how to measure heights for exemption. In the building code, retaining walls, anything that retains dirt up to 4 feet, we consider a retaining wall. And there's a specific measurement in the code that measures from the bottom of the footer to the top of the retaining of the wall or the surcharge of the wall. So at the time we adopted these codes in 18, we made the amendment to kind of measure the fence, measure a block wall fence the same way as you would measure from the bottom of the footer, which is typically a 1-foot footer, and then any height of the wall all the way to the top of the wall. Well, what we found was several developers in the subdivisions were coming across terrain that was offset either by parcels or just terrain through the thing. So we had amended the code to exempt block walls from 7 feet in height. If we put in the measurement, they went up to 8 with the footer, but sometimes because of the terrain, part of the wall would have to be permitted, and then other parts of the wall would not have to be permitted. So it was a kind of difficult way to measure that. Looking back in our code, the code basically doesn't give, for fences and walls, doesn't give a measurement criteria. So they just basically said 7 feet in height, anything over 7 feet in height requires a building permit. Anything under that would be exempt from permits. So talking with developers and looking at different ways of how to make that measurement, we came to the consensus that we would actually measure from the lowest property grade. So if you had staggered properties, you would measure from the lowest property grade up to the top of the wall, and that would create your 7 feet. And anything above that would require a building permit. So that's our proposed amendment, is to remove the bottom of the footer from the top of the wall measurement, and then to add lowest property grade as an amendment. So this is an item for your discussion and possible action.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Morris?
Yes, Gilbert, I had a question on that, and I've already had an interpretation by somebody that, different jurisdiction that went to basically the same way. They interpreted the lowest property grade as anywhere on the property, not adjacent to the wall or near the wall or around the wall, and there was like 12 feet of difference across this property from one side to the other, from the front to the back. And they were saying, well, we got to use the front because that's the lowest property grade. How do we get around that? Because I know that's not the intent.
Chairman Gillette and Commissioner Morris, that is, and a lot of times, and I'll get back to my zoning background, is typically zoning used to regulate heights of fences, and they still do with some of the setback requirements. And some of I think in a lot of cases, that's how they did measure it, from lowest property grade. So that's kind of where we got some of that verbiage. But yeah, the intent is at the location of the wall. It's not part of the property. And I think some of it, again, goes back to zoning of, if it was lowest, you might have an 8-foot wall on one person's side, and aesthetically wise, zoning wise, that wouldn't be acceptable in a lot of jurisdictions. Of course, I don't think we have any height requirements zoning wise, and Scott, you can.
Madam Chair, Commission, we do have height requirements when it comes to the front property, the front yard setback. Most of it's for sight distance, as far as people backing out of their driveways. You don't want an 8-foot fence blocking out cars that are be pulling out, and you wouldn't be able to see them coming out. So I think we do have a 4-foot height requirement in your front yard setback. And then it differs depending on a flag lot or corner lots have different requirements as well.
Chairman Morris, that answer your question?
Yeah, I feel it's left open to interpretation rather than maybe adding a little bit of wording or verbiage that says, within 3 feet of it or adjacent to it.
If it's the commission's will, we can go back and look at that and add verbiage to clarify that.
Chairman Gillette, I believe the language does currently state adjacent grade, correct?
It states from lowest property grade.
Okay,
So it is.
adjacent grade.
Where is that listed for verbiage? Is it in
Page 7,
11.
halfway down.
What page is that?
7? Okay.
Page 7? Can I say something?
It's page 11.
Commissioner Martin?
I agree with Commissioner Morse. That does, because my interpretation is that anywhere on the property, I did like the verbiage that you went over, if it were at the location of the wall. I think that needs to be refined a bit because that is wide open.
Chairman Gillette, Commissioner Martin, Commissioner Morris, we can add that adjacent. We could lowest property, adjacent lowest property grade. Would that clarify that?
Chairman Gillette and commissioners, and specifically Commissioner Morse, my recommendation, if that's the intent of whoever makes the motion to approve or deny, if that's what you want to do, is add some of that language. My recommendation would be to add to that provision where it says lowest property grade, add the words adjacent to the fence or wall to provide that clarity. But that would need to be added into the motion at the end of this discussion.
So I don't really care about the wording so much. I'm just more concerned, and I'm a visual person, so maybe this is why I'm not grasping it. But is this going to make it more difficult for contractors putting in walls? Meaning, like if you have a portion of the wall that is, only a very small section of it is going to require retaining, and maybe 2 rows of block are retaining. Is this going to cause more work for the contractors?
Commissioner hasn't. No. Again, what we kind of found out was what really was affecting staggered lots. So you'd have one fence on a high side that was 5 feet or almost less, and then you'd have a fence, or the measurement on the other side would be 7 feet to the top of the wall with the footer. So we kind of eliminated the footer and we actually gave them 1 foot higher. So it would give them a higher fence on the higher adjacent grade. And that seemed more reasonable on how you measured it.
So you're measuring from the top of the footer?
We're measuring from the lowest property grade. So if you had a staggered lot, this would be the lowest.
So you're not considering the footer at all?
Correct.
It used to, not anymore.
Okay, got it.
You can change the wording, because I don't understand that part.
Question for staff.
Commissioner Martin?
Are we going through everything and making one motion, or are we taking each item individually?
I would say individually.
Yeah, Chairman Gillette and Commissioner Martin, yes. One motion will be for all 8 amendments.
Oh.
Yeah, because it's pages and pages.
Make your notes.
I don't know what we want to change.
Chairman Gillette and Commissioner Martin, you can do it in one motion. That motion can include basically some subparts to it, but it is put on the agenda as a singular item, and so it would be it would probably be easiest and simplest for the commission to do it in one motion with some modifications. If modifications are recommended in the motion, with some language specific to each of the sub-provisions here, if that makes any sense.
I understand.
Okay, I just wanted to know what procedure we were doing. Okay, got it.
Okay, so,
I only see one strike through, so is that all is that the only edits?
Oh, there's more.
Yeah, there's more.
He's got to do this in red.
Chairman and Commissioners, that's why if I could direct you to the memo that we sent you, it just specifically goes down each of the amendments that we're proposing. I think you're looking at the strikeout of the total ordinance.
Probably in my email.
Which one am I looking at?
Excuse me, Chairman, if I'm from what I read through, it's really basically two wording changes that are throughout the whole document. Changing the word abandonment to last inspection, and then changing the, I lost it, changing bottom of the footer to the top of the wall to the lowest property grade. Those are really the only changes that are being made throughout the document.
another one on page
Was there something else?
Commissioner
worded
Alexander, no, there's a total of 8 different code sections that we are
Right,
requesting to
but
be
they're
amended.
all basically making the same change, word changing? Word changes?
Commissioner Alexander, no, they some are changing verbiage, some are changing, or adding clarification to the ordinance. So
Oh,
they-
okay,
they're-
or your notes, including your narratives in?
Correct, yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, so this was the first item, correct?
This is the first item. I apologize, Commissioners. We did take these individually to the Building Code Advisory Board, so each one was a different item. Again, this was put on the agenda as one item, so we can, as I said, kind of section them off of saying this is the first in the series of these amendments, and we can go to the second one if...
No,
but
it's my mental note.
So the item that we're looking at right now is on page 7, under building fences. And on page 11, you have the same thing on number 2, which says fences.
Chairman Gillette, that is correct. Actually, we're looking at 2 different codes. One is the International Building Code, and the second amendment would be based on the International Residential Code.
Thank you.
Hopefully I clarified that. So we
So
have
if
several different types of codes that we will be amending into, but we do, I have 2 amendments in the International Building Code, and we have 4 different amendments in the International Residential Code, and 2 of those are the same verbiage. The fence requirement is the same verbiage for both codes.
Chairman Gillette, if I might, just for a point of clarification, in the building code, or in the building division, they have they've got a number of codes, but 2 of the main codes that they deal with, you have the International Building Code and you have the International Residential Code. The residential code is typically used in residential construction, and the International Building Code is typically used in commercial construction. In a case like this where we're dealing with walls, you have walls in both codes. So the idea being that we're regulating them the same, or proposing the same code for both, or same amendment for both codes, but because they're in separate books, we need to make that same amendment. So you see it twice, but as Commissioner Alexander pointed out, it is the same change, but in 2 separate documents. But there are a number of other changes that the chief building official will be discussing. Some of them are in just one book, some are in both books. So in the cases where it's in both books, that's where you'll see the same change in both places.
So are either one of these the CBC?
You have the IBC and the IRC. I don't know if
The
I'm familiar
CBC
with
is typically the California Building Code.
No, we do not have that here.
Chairman Gillette and Commissioners, I do get what you're getting out page-wise now. Yes, you are looking at the entire building ordinance with strikeouts. I was looking at the memo. So yes, on the fence portion on page 7, this is the International Building Code with strikeouts to indicate the lowest property grade. And on page 11, this would be the International Residential Code with the same strikeouts for the same provision.
Chairperson Gillette, can I have, Scott, can you bring up the PowerPoint? The second slide shows what the proposed building code amendments are. You can bring that up so that they can see it on their visuals, on your visuals down at on your desk there. Do you guys see on your computers? Those are the proposed changes.
I just see me.
Do you see it?
And I actually have,
So, Madam Chair,
I'm looking
it
at
is
all
up
of us.
on, it is up on the slideshow. We just need IT to throw it up on the screen. There we go.
There we go.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, I just want to make sure that it's got the whole slide in there. It does the numbers, there's,
So these are the changes that you want to be made.
correct.
correct.
All
And
right.
so item one, Chairman, item one would be both the International Building Code and the International Residential Code to amend the height and the measurement of the fence or wall.
Madam Chair.
At the intersection of two streets, will this come to a sharp corner, or will this cause a site obstruction for intersecting streets with respect to traffic?
Chairman Gillette, Greg Vandeveer with Public Works is speaking regarding site distance issues when it comes to intersections. Those would be a separate issue from this. This is merely the construction inspection for, and whether a permit would be required for a block wall. In working on the intersections, we will still continue to work with Public Works to ensure that the site distance is adequate.
We did have a couple in the past, like slip through the cracks. That are on an intersection, that get addressed with us.
Madam Chair. May I ask,
Commissioner Morris?
may I ask Mr. Haas to reiterate the verbiage or the wording that he was suggesting to submit to our approval?
Commissioner, Chairman Gillette, Commissioner Morse, the verbiage that I suggested, if you are looking in your future motion to approve this with a change to what's item 1 on the screen there, my recommendation would be to add to the recommendation of IRC section R105.2 and to IBC section 105.2 as well. Following the words lowest property grade, the words adjacent to the fence or wall.
Thank you.
I got it.
Okay, so, do we want to make any other changes to these? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them.
And Chairman Gillette, if I can continue this, the second item would be a different code. This would be on page 7 of the ordinance. Building code section, International Building Code section, and also IRC Building Code section on page 11. And so International Building Code section 105.5, expiration of permits, basically amend to add the end of the section, in order for such work to be recommended after a permit is expired, a new permit shall be first obtained to do so, and the fee therefore shall be 1/2 of the amount required for a new permit for such work, provided no changes have been made and will be made in original plan specification for such work, and approved further for such suspension. The original word in there was "or abandonment has not exceeded 1 year." We've had people question the word abandonment if their project stalled for a while and the permit expired. We've had problems with them saying, I didn't abandon the project, I want to reinstate it. So our recommendation is to change the verbiage from abandonment to the last inspection. And actually, since we went to the Code Advisory Board, we wanted to clarify that a little bit more and say the last approved, or how do we write it? The last approved, or what do we say on that? The last approved or past inspection. We kind of forgot to put that into the Building Code Advisory thing, but that's our recommendation, is to include that in this amendment. The reasoning is we've had people in the past look at this section and say, call for an inspection, and the inspection fails, and then they have the thinking that I have 180 more days on the permit, it doesn't expire. So we've had people just call in just for an inspection in order to fail, in order to extend the permit amount. So our recommendation is to put in there a past or an approved inspection with that. And again, this is in two sections, one in the International Building Code and also in the International Residential Code. Does that make sense? Kind of the same thing as we did, the last thing we had. They are, though, believe they are different sections in the code. They are not. So one is the International Building Code, section 105.5, and the other is the IRC section R105.5. It would be the same verbiage.
Mr. Chairman, I have a comment.
Yes.
I would suggest you get Larry Morse, 2 or 3 block builders that builds walls all together, and I guarantee you, this writing will not be interpreted the same by any one of those rock build. They'll build the wall, and you call for inspection, won't get bought off. So this needs some real, it's a tough one, and you can't define it like you're defining it, and I don't think you can define it like we're saying, change it to this and this and this. It's going to take more in-depth looking at than we can come up with a solution right here.
Am I to believe that these changes that you've got here, you must have had a committee working on it?
Chairman Gillette and Commissioner Abbott, we took it to the Code Advisory Board. We had contractors involved with looking at the verbiage and looking at the height, measurement requirements, how it would be easier for them. The problem we had, say, on the building or on the walls, were the code is silent on how you measured the wall. So it basically said anything over a 7-foot wall requires a building permit. We had all kinds of interpretations of, do you include the footer, do you not include the footer at 7 foot, where do you measure it from, lowest grade or highest grade? So with that, we did have some discussions with the contractors and see how that would work for them.
Chairman Gillette, if I might jump in just a little bit. On the block wall, really what we're seeing here is more clarification issues, trying to make it a little bit clearer. And definitely appreciate Commissioner Abbott's insight that, that's one of the problems with code is you get 5 different people, and 5 different people will see it differently. And really the intent of these changes is to help clarify that. With the block walls, I believe with Commissioner Morse's addition, I think that will help clarify it even more that this is adjacent to the wall and not just any part of the building or any part of the lot. On this current one, the number 2 that Chief Building Official Smaby is discussing right now, really we ran into some issues with the definition of abandonment, and really trying to twist that word of, I didn't abandon it. I haven't done anything with it for 2 years, but I didn't abandon it. So really the intent of this is to lock that down and define that, rather than use the word abandonment, okay, from your last approved inspection, you have 6 months to get to the next inspection. If you don't have an approved inspection each 6 months, that project is going to expire. So that's the intent of this, is to really provide that additional clarification as was discussed.
Okay. So the next one is the gypsum wallboard.
Chairman Gillette and Commissioners, actually, there's one on there that didn't make it on this screen. It is in your amendment, or in your ordinance on page 13. It's the very table on the top, the climatic and geographical design criteria. You look down the table, there's a winter design temperature. When we made our amendments, we put the number in of 109 degrees for our winter design temperature, and obviously that's incorrect. So this is a typo, then we just want to strike that out and put in our current design temperature would be 34 degrees Fahrenheit for our winter design temperatures.
34?
Correct. So we're making that proposal. Okay. And then next on the list would be the gypsum wallboard. This is a where is it? This is only applicable to the International Residential Code, Section R302. During our original adoption of the codes, going a little bit of background, is the International Residential Code basically designed all structures with fire sprinklers. So the state of Arizona, in the time it was adopted, they exempted, or they mandated that the jurisdictions could not require fire sprinklers for residential structures, although the code did derate or limit down some of the things. So one was 5/8 drywall is a thicker drywall. It was a fire drywall, and it was included under stairs, under stair protection and garage separations. When the code put in fire sprinklers, they derated that down to a 1/2-inch drywall. Since the state won't let us have fire sprinklers, we want to amend that back up to 5/8, a higher fire rating. And that was just missed in the code adoption and when we adopted the 18 codes. There was other sections that did have that drywall criteria, and we caught those, but this one for residential under stair protection was not caught. So we wanted to make that amendment to go from 1/2 inch.
That's an addition.
Well, it's a change from 1/2-inch drywall to 5/8 drywall required for under stairs. Okay. The next one was number 4, redefine public swimming pools. Basically, the code called out for 24 inches of water was the definition of a swimming pool. Arizona state statute has lowered that limit to 18 inches. And so we have to do the most restrictive. So we're recommending that change from 24 inches to 18 inches based on state statute. Number 5 is our International Property Maintenance Code. In each one of these codes, there's a section of enforcement, means of appeals of the decision of the building official. We have taken all those and put it into our building ordinance. So our building ordinance basically says that all appeals and all appeals or all interpretation requirements go back to the Building Code Advisory Board in Section 8. Somehow, when we did the amendments to the 2018 code, this was missed, and so it needs to be brought back to Section 8 of the Mojave County Building Code Ordinance.
So that is an addition.
This is an addition of, correct. The code basically says to establish a Board of Appeals. We want to direct it back to our building ordinance in Section 8, which is our Board of Appeals.
Chairman Gillette, if I may, the International Property Maintenance Code is one of the codes that we utilize in our code enforcement, basically dangerous buildings, trash, and those types of things. And what we found was the Property Maintenance Code has a certain way of appealing that was different than what we had established with our building code. So what this does is basically bring the two into alignment.
Okay. So now, we need a motion to approve the changes that you have made, plus the changes we have made.
I got it.
On board.
Martin, thank you.
I make a motion to approve the amendment items with adding to item 1 adjacent to the fence or wall.
Is that sufficient?
I'll second that.
And Morse. Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Martin, seconded by Commissioner Morse.
Chairman Gillette, if I may, we also had one additional addition to it, and it was instead of the last inspection, was the last passed or approved inspection. We would recommend to include that verbiage.
Okay.
Should still stand.
Commissioner Martin, you want to include that verbiage in your,
Well, I thought everything else was clear.
well, this is an addition.
Have her read back the motion.
So they're asking they want this to say last passed inspection.
Oh, last passed inspection.
Is that okay?
Okay,
To amend that?
okay. And to include last passed inspection instead of last inspection.
Did we get the addition under,
Did we get that?
And Chairman Gillette and Commissioner Martin, if just to clarify, you're amending your motion to include that language as well, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And if that's the new amended motion, we would need a second to the amendment as well.
yes.
Second.
So Commissioner Morse has seconded it. All right.
Yeah.
Does everybody understand the motion?
Yes.
I would like clarification. I'm good. I'm kidding. Go ahead. Oh,
Then we need a lunch break.
I was actually just
Okay,
trying to get them to order lunch.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
Oh,
The motion has carried.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Welcome. I have publicly threatened someone.
Field inspectors are not going to interpret.
Okay, the monthly reports were sent via email yesterday. Are there any questions?
That's why it's also asking.
Or any comments? Hearing none, we will move on to any announcements or requests from staff, anything that we need to do.
Madam Chair, the staff has taken a look at the commission's bylaws, and it's been a while since we have updated them. There are a few things that would need to be updated, especially since we have commissioners that are participating through the video conferencing, and so we need to update a few things. Staff is willing to look at the bylaws and make some updates and present them to you. Hopefully that we can maybe get them updated for the next meeting. We would need the commission to make a motion to place it on the next meeting, and that way we can vote on it at that next meeting.
Okay. I need a motion to place the bylaws on our next meeting
for review.
for review. Yes.
Changing these rules might,
So,
I make a motion to put the bylaws for review on the next meeting.
second motion.
I have a motion by Commissioner Hassett, seconded by Commissioner Martin. No, that's not right. Abbott. All in favor, say aye.
Easy job.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So moved. I call to the public. Anyone wishing to speak on our call to the public? Hearing none?
I have a call to the public.
All right.
You got to stand up there, state your name and address.
State your name and address.
I need about 20 minutes to do in 30 seconds. I talked to Jeannie Bishop yesterday, or I've talked to her before about it, but I told her I was resigning as of today's meeting. And I want to thank everybody that I work with. I've worked with some fabulous commissioners, supervisors, and on and on. Pete Byers appointed me 15, 16 years ago, and 4 supervisors have appointed me since. I have tried to do my job the best that I'm capable of doing. So I thank all of you, and the biggest reason my wife and I were very involved with the community, and probably a lot of that involvement has come about through being a commissioner. And we travel, and we're working on a trip right now to go out of the country for about 5-6 weeks, and it's just time for me to retire, so thank you all.
Thank you.
I'm not retiring, I'm just resigning.
Well, it is with sadness that we accept your resignation.
And if Kathy Taggett was here, I was going to say, she's the one person that comes before us totally prepared.
Yes, that's true.
Thanks to people like her.
That's true. Having no more business to come before this meeting is adjourned.